Welcome to the Brain Boost program. This program is designed to help you explore new ideas for activities that can help keep your brain healthy if you have early memory problems or have been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment or very mild dementia. If you have an interest in finding new ways to maximize your brain health, this program is right for you. Look for the accompanying episode guide to help you navigate the activities in this program. I'm Dr. Greg Jica, and I'm a neurologist who focuses on taking care of patients with memory problems caused by diseases like Alzheimer's. I'm also a neuroscientist searching for new ways to slow and/or stop memory problems in aging. I've been researching ways to promote healthy brain aging for almost 35 years now, and while we continue to look for new medicines and potential cures for diseases like Alzheimer's, you should know that there's a lot you can do to promote your own brain health. Things such as mental stimulation, social engagement, physical activity, diet, and many other daily activities, all of which can make a huge impact. We hope you try some of these activities at home or come up with your own. Most of all, we want you to realize that you can take control of your own brain health through such activities.
Hello, and welcome to Brain Boost. Today we are talking about all things winter. When we think of winter, it is easy to think about the short days and the long, cold nights, but there is so much more to winter than just that. Stop for a moment and consider all the hobbies and interests the winter season invites us to participate in. Maybe it is drinking hot cocoa and enjoying a good book, or picking out the perfect hat to go with your coat and scarf, or perhaps it is getting to make some of your favorite soups, stews, or chilies. Winter provides a time for outdoor activities like snow skiing, ice skating, sledding, building snowmen, and simply watching the snowfall. Is there a particular activity that you enjoy during the winter months? Winter can add a challenge to being active, as it is not always easy to go take a walk outside or do the activities you enjoy in the spring or summer. It can be tempting to snuggle up and sit all winter, but that would not be good for you or your brain health. Did you know that research shows that sitting for long periods of time with little stimulation is associated with reduced cognitive performance? Study after study shows the importance of moving our bodies and keeping our minds engaged. Good thing there are many activities that we can do indoors that can keep our bodies and our minds active during the winter season. One great way to do that is through yoga. Yoga can be done indoors or outdoors, which makes it a great option during the winter. It uses deep breathing techniques and slow movements to help increase blood flow to our muscles, which then helps warm them up. The National Institutes of Health, along with researchers from Johns Hopkins University, report that yoga can help you manage stress, boost your mood, and help with strength and balance. All great things to work on in the winter months. Let's grab a chair and give chair yoga a try.
Hi, welcome to Chair Yoga. I'm Elizabeth and I'm here at the Lexington Senior Center, and I'm so happy that you're joining me today. So all you need today is a chair and your body. Once you're in your chair comfortably, you're going to scoot towards the edge of your chair so that you can sit up tall with your feet comfortably and securely on the floor. You can have your hands resting on your knees or on the chair, whichever is more comfortable. We're gonna start off by just sitting quietly for a few moments. You can keep your eyes open, or if it's comfortable, you can let them drift softly closed towards the tip of your nose or close them all the way. Just notice the parts of your body that are touching the floor and touching the chair. Start to draw your navel in towards your spine. Lift the chest up. Relax the shoulders back. Draw your chin in gently towards the chest so that the back of the neck lengthens. Feel the crown of the head float up towards the ceiling. Now bring awareness to the breath. With your next breath in, feel the breath fill the front of the chest. The next breath fills the front and back of the chest. And your next breath fills front, back, and sides of the chest. Breath fills the chest in all directions. If the eyes are closed, open them up. We'll start raising and lowering our shoulders. You can do this with the breath. As you inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. And exhale, relax the shoulders down along the back. Inhale, lift the shoulders up. And exhale down. Turn this into a circle. Start to bring the shoulders forward. Lift them up. Draw them back. And down. Shoulders forward, up, back, and down. And reverse this. Draw the shoulders back, up, forward, and down. Keeping that tall spine, shoulders back, up, forward, and down. Good. You can shake it out if you need to. Find your tall spine again, chest is lifted. Next we'll do cat and cow. Again, hands can be here on the knees, or if it's more comfortable, you can put the hands on your chair for more support. With your next inhale, lift the chest. If it's okay for your neck, look up. As you exhale, draw the belly in. You can push your hands into your knees or the chair, round the spine. Just continue moving like this. Inhale, lift the chest. Gaze is up. Exhale, draw the belly in. You can push hands against the knees or the chair. One more time. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, draw belly in, around the spine. Come to a neutral seat again. This time, hold on to your left knee. Draw the belly in. Look up, just like you were doing before. But this time your leg comes with you. If holding on to the knee doesn't work for your body, you can hold on behind the thigh. And then put the leg down. Push hands into the knees or the chair, around the back. And the other side. Hug the right knee in, or you can hold on behind the leg. Lift the chest. Look up. Place the foot down, press hands into knee or chair, around the back. And come back to a comfortable, tall, seated position. Take a deep breath in, and exhale, sigh. One more time, deep breath in. Exhale, sigh. And we'll continue working with our feet. Hands can be on knees or the chair. You're going to lift and lower your heels, pressing the balls of the feet into the floor. So just raising the heels up and pressing them down. Raise the heels up and press them down. If this is pretty easy, you can add some resistance, pressing your hands into your knees, making your legs work just a little bit harder to lift and lower the heels. Very good. Again, we'll hold our left knee into our chest, or you can hold on behind the leg and just circle the ankle in one direction. And then reverse that circle. Either direction is fine. Put the foot down. Pick up the other leg. circle the ankle in one direction. My ankle pops a lot, maybe yours does too. And then circle the other direction. Put both feet down. Now holding on to the side or the seat of your chair, you're gonna extend both legs out, bring both legs in. Heels out, sitting up tall, and in. Now just the left leg reaches out. Really press through the heels, straighten the leg as much as you can. Draw your belly in, lift your chest up. And just like a windshield wiper, you're gonna take your foot and move it side to side so that the entire leg is moving in and out. Bring that foot back in. Other foot extends out. Press through the heel, straighten the leg as much as you can. Draw the belly in, lift the chest. And then just like a windshield wiper, that leg goes in and out. Feel leg moving in the socket of the hip. Bring the foot back in. Sitting up tall, drawing the belly in. We're gonna take our legs and move them out just a little bit wider. Sitting up tall, we'll call this horse stance, sitting in horse stance. You might need to move a little bit closer to the edge of your chair. If this does not work for your body, you can totally keep your legs back in the center. No big deal. Sitting up tall, draw the belly in, lift the chest. Take your arms out wide like a cactus. Lift the chest. Hands are strong, arms are strong. We're gonna move our arms with the breath again. As you exhale, draw the elbows together, keep the shape of the arms. Inhale, arms open wide. Imagine the arms like wings. Exhale, closing the wings, forearms move towards each other. Inhale, arms open wide. Nothing changes in the arm, it's just moving in and out. The height of my upper arms is staying the same, parallel to the ground. Let's do this one more time. Exhale, drawing in. Inhale, opening up. You can shake the arms out, relax them. Take the hands onto the knees. Sitting up tall, take the left hand, press it against the left leg. The right arm is going to reach up to the ceiling, stretching up and over to the right side. Draw the belly in towards the spine. Reach through the fingertips and come back center. Right hand presses into the right knee, sitting up tall. Left arm reaches up. Reach up and over to the right, stretching through the side of the body, drawing the belly in. And return center. You can bring your knees back in, close together. Sitting up tall. We will end today's practice with a calming breath meditation. Eyes can stay open or closed, or you can have them soften towards the tip of the nose. Just like the beginning of class, draw the belly in, lift the chest, relax shoulders away from ears. Let all of the air empty out. Breathe in, notice the space at the top. Breathe out, space at the bottom. Breathe in, space, out, space. Breathe in, space, out, space. Continue breathing like this, finding a space at the top and the bottom of the breath. And then gradually just let your breath return to a natural rhythm. Observe how you feel. Thank you so much for joining me for yoga in a chair today.
That was a great way to keep our bodies moving. I'm already feeling a little less stressed. Another thing to try is yoga in the evenings. A simple yoga routine at night has been shown to help get our bodies ready for sleep at night. A good night's sleep is another way to boost your brain health. You know what happens when we move more? Our appetites can become more active as well. When I think about the kitchen in the winter, I start to think of spices like cinnamon and nutmeg. Those spices can make a house smell wonderful, warm, and cozy. Winter is a great time to try new things in the kitchen, explore new spices, and try new recipes. There is no better way to keep our minds and our bodies active than getting into the kitchen and start making something. Let's learn about how to make an apple tart, which is a perfect winter treat.
Hi, I'm Chef Tanya Whitehouse with the Food Connection here at the University of Kentucky, and today I'm going to show you how to make a rustic apple tart. Okay, so we want to start with our crust first, and this is a very simple flour and fat-based crust. We're going to make it super easy by using our food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you can easily stir this up in a bowl with a couple of forks, or if you have a pastry blender, that will work just as well. So this is going to be a very basic pastry crust with flour, fat, a little salt, and cold water. I've been keeping my ice water in the fridge just so it stays nice and cold. And I've been keeping my butter in the freezer so that it is really nice and hard, and that'll help it coat each little piece of flour that it comes into contact with. So we're going to start by measuring out 1.5 cups of just plain all-purpose flour. I'm going to do this in the food processor today, and I'll show you how quickly it'll mix up in the food processor. So I'm going to scoop lightly the flour into my measuring cups and then add it to my food processor bowl. That's 1 cup right there, and 1/2 cup. And you're not smashing the flour down in, you're just lightly spooning it and then adding it to the bowl. I'm gonna hang on to my flour though, because I'll need a little bit to roll out our pastry crust. And I have chopped, I don't know how well you can see, but I have cut up the butter into tiny little pieces. So I'm gonna break those off and scatter them around the flour in the bowl. And this is 6 ounces of butter, which is, if you're measuring that in sticks, that's 1.5 sticks. So I'm gonna put that around and then we can toss those. I'm gonna use about just a good pinch of regular salt. I tend to use kosher salt. And then on the ice water, I'm gonna use 1/3 cup. I'm gonna go ahead and measure that out. But what we need to do first, okay, I'm going to pulse the butter with the flour in the food processor first. So this is flour, salt, and butter. And I'm gonna pulse until the butter breaks up and kind of coats and makes the flour coarse. You can leave sort of larger pieces of butter, but nothing bigger than, say, a pea. And it's really starting to look like that. So we've got some coarseness in the flour and then some little chunks of butter as well. That's a good time to add the cold water. I'm going to add the water as I am processing these ingredients again in a slow stream. And you want to keep on processing. You'll start to see everything will clump together. And then I'm going to hold it down for longer pulses. And you'll see it start to form clumps. That's what we're looking for. And when it starts to sort of move around in a large clump together, that's when you can stop pulsing. And we can pull this out very carefully. Watch the blade. And we're going to shape it into a disc. Now we'll wrap this disc and we'll put it into the refrigerator for about an hour, and we can work on our filling while we do that. Now, once we get the disc of dough into the refrigerator, we want to make our filling. And so I've got some apples right here. I'm going to peel these apples, cut them up, but since apples brown so quickly, I'm going to take a little container of water and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of lemon juice to that, so that prevents some of the browning. And that'll keep our apples fresh for our filling. So today we'll be using these Honeycrisp apples. You can get any from your local orchards or from your local stores. The cooking varieties and sometimes the tartar varieties like Granny Smith might be better for this. These are Honeycrisp, which are a nice balance between sweet and tart. And so we're just going to take the peel off very quickly. If you are a fan of the peel and want to leave that on, you can certainly do that. Sometimes the peel it won't break down the same as the apples. And we want these to be tender once the tart comes out. Now for me, the easiest way to break down apples is to set them on their shoulders because they're much more stable that way. And then I cut off the sides. So a lot of people like to take the core out of the apple first, but I find that this is really stable and you don't have to have any specialty equipment like an apple corer. And then we're gonna cut these big chunks of apple into thin slices. And we're gonna put them in the water as soon as we do that. Just take your time, put each piece on a flat side, and that way you can cut very thin pieces. I like to hold my knife by the spine and curl up my fingers so that I can work quickly without any potential for harming myself. But take your time and cut your apples down and just add them bit by bit to your water. When we add lemon to water, we call that acidulated water. We're just adding an acid. You could also add a little bit of vinegar. That is also an acid. And we're gonna break down all of these apples. You do need to work a little quickly so that as you're working with them, and then stop for a moment and throw them in the water to prevent that browning. Now we're going to measure out 3.5 tablespoons of sugar and a tablespoon of flour and get that ready to the side. And we're going to grab our tart dough. So hopefully by now our tart dough has been resting in the refrigerator for about an hour. I like to use a dry cutting board when I roll anything out. I've got my rolling pin right here and a little bit of that extra flour that I reserved. I'm just going to sprinkle a little flour out on the surface, and we'll take our disc of dough and we'll place it on there. And we may want to take a little bit of flour and sprinkle on top, just enough to prevent our rolling pin from sticking. And then you roll from the center and just keep turning your dough. You may want to watch it. You're trying to get somewhat of a circle, but now you don't have to be super a perfectionist about this. You might want to turn your dough over so that way you're working on both sides, and you just keep pushing and pulling. And we want to get down to about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch thin. So I'm going to start really pushing it out from the center now, and I'm going to keep turning it. So I'm trying to make sure that nothing's sticking and that we're getting somewhat of a circular shape. I like to turn my rolling pin different ways, and that helps keep the rolling even. And don't forget your edges, don't get them too thin. but you also don't want them thicker than the middle. I'm gonna move this around in the flour just a little bit as I keep working it out to the edges of the cutting board. And on this, we still want to work a little quickly as well because we don't want all that fat heating up right now. We want it heating up in the oven after we've put everything together. That's a pretty good circle. We're starting to get pretty thin. And you notice I'm not worried about the edges. And it's still moving pretty well. Let's see if we can turn this. Make sure it's not sticking one more time. And one more roll, and I think we've got it. Now, what we need to do is transfer this to a sheet pan. Any old sheet pan, pizza pan, anything like that. I like to put a little parchment in here. That helps with cleanup, that prevents the pastry from sticking because you've got some apples and sweetness and sugar bubbling in there. So I'm just gonna flop this over on my rolling pin, and that will help transfer so that the dough doesn't tear. And then I just unroll it. Now that I've got my dough on the pan, I'm gonna take that sugar and that flour and mix them together. And we're gonna put that down as the base for our apples. The sugar will sweeten them a little bit. The flour will thicken the juice just a tiny bit. If you wanted to, you could add probably about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon right here. So we're gonna make a little circle. Sprinkle about half of your mixture in. And I'm going to drain my apples. I'll just do it right here into this bowl. Because we don't want to make our dough soggy. And you can make whatever pattern you want. So if you just want to tile them, I like to go in sort of a spiral pattern. I start in the middle. And if you want to get really creative with this, you could make any pattern you wanted. This is a good job also if you have family members helping out. If you have younger family members helping with this would be a great job for them to do rather than cutting up the apples. And I'm gonna double up on this so that we have a nice thick tart and use plenty of apples to the dough that we have. And you just keep going around and around, just barely overlapping. When I say tile, I just mean you're just letting the pieces slightly overlap. I'm gonna keep spreading out just a little bit. So I've almost got my first layer on here. And once we get that first layer on, we can add the second half of our sugar flour mixture and then finish the pie. So we'll go out just a wee bit more. Not too much. You want to leave about 2 to 3 inches around your apples. So I'm good with this size. I'm going to sprinkle the rest of my dry mixture, the sugar and the flour mixed together, right here on top of my apples. Make sure to get some in the middle. And don't forget that the most visible part is going to be right in the center. And we'll reinforce these outer edges one more time. And now if you want to get a little creative in the middle and have a few pieces just filling in. Now the easy part, you don't have to worry about the edges. You just start to bring them up, bring one little fold over, and then you just make a pleat. So I'm using my finger to fold the dough. About every 3 inches or so, I make another pleat. And so you get this little irregular scallopy edge. And the last one you may need to sort of pinch on both sides. There we go in that. Now, I have a couple of teaspoons of melted butter here, and I have a pastry brush. I'm gonna take this melted butter and just brush it on my pastry. so that it gets a nice golden brown. I have set my oven to 400 degrees. This is going to take a little while to cook because you're cooking down raw apples. If you are a fan of the really big sugar on your pastries, you could sprinkle a little bit of that onto the crust as well. And there we go. So we'll pop that in the oven and then we'll come back to it when everything's cooked down. Now our tart should be ready to pull out of the oven. Our pastry is golden brown and our apples are all cooked. You might notice that the apples that have cooked, they're a little bit dry on the top layer, but you will see that there's a little bit of sauce inside created by that mixture of the apple juices and the flour. To kind of make this look really presentable on the plate, we're going to take a tiny bit of warmed apricot preserves. And you can strain these if you want, if you don't want any chunks in it. And you don't have to do this step, it makes it nice and glossy. It works best if you can let this sit for a few minutes before you cut it so that the juices have time to thicken a little bit more now that you've taken it off the heat. But most people won't be able to wait that long. Just a little brush on that nice pattern that we've got. Now to serve, you could transfer this to a cutting board if you don't feel confident in doing it right here in the pan. But I have a serrated knife, but any large knife would work. The serrated just helps to cut through the pastry without crushing it again. And we're just going to make a straight cut through the center. And the reason I like a serrated is it tends to cut whatever pieces of apple I encounter, so that I can cut all the way through and get clean pieces that come apart. And you might have to take your knife through a couple of times and then you'll see it wiggle apart. And then I'll cut those halves into halves and then those quarters into eighths. Trying to saw back and forth a little bit just to impress. You sort of need to press where you feel any resistance. But once you get to these little slices, they do want to move around a little bit. There we go. And to serve, you just can plate it up. If you wanted to, you could do some vanilla bean ice cream on top of that, or a little drizzle of caramel might be nice, or just as is.
That looks delicious. We encourage you to explore and try new things in the kitchen as you are able. Sometimes that is as easy as adding an extra ingredient to a favorite recipe, and sometimes it's trying a new recipe you've never tried before. Exploring how spices affect flavor is a great way to bring creativity into the kitchen. Our creativity is not limited to just the kitchen. Winter is a great time to explore crafts or projects at home that can be turned into decorations, gifts, or simply enjoying the process of making something new. Let's join our friend Kelly, who will share with us a fun winter project.
So in this craft segment, we're going to learn how to make the no-sew penguin you see in front of me. For this, you're going to need 2 pairs of socks. You can use any color that you want. You're going to need some felt paper or some felt. If you don't have felt, you can certainly use white paper, and then either orange paper or orange felt, whatever you have on hand, whatever's easiest. I'm using beans. You can use rice, just a dried good, and then a little bit of ribbon or yarn if you'd like. So I've got my sock, and what I'll do, I've got 2 different size beans, so the body's going to be the bigger bean, and I will just put once I started, it gets a little bit easier. And certainly you can use a funnel if you've got one of those as well. But start putting the beans in the bottom of the sock. And it's all right if we make a little bit of a mess. There we go. Let's see, and you can kind of see him taking shape a little bit, the body. And you might, if you don't have a funnel, certainly another hand will help. And pull it open and get those beans inside. Now, once we have a good body shape, we're gonna, there. Put a rubber band on it, just so we can have a differentiation of the head and the body. You know, this is a pretty long sock. So what I'm gonna do is cut just a little bit off. I probably should have done it in the beginning. It would have been a little bit easier, but cut some of that off. There we go. And just give it a little tie. And then we're gonna do the head portion of the penguin. Oh yes, this is much better. Now we do want to be mindful that we're going to need to take this rubber band off in order to put the white felt belly on. So just remember that step. Okay. Maybe just a little bit more. Again, just eyeball it. Whatever you like is what's going to work best. Take another rubber band and cap it. All right. So this is your starter. All right, so the next step is to make the belly and the face of the penguin. Again, I've used white felt paper, but you can use regular paper, construction paper, whatever's easiest. So I'm just gonna cut out a little round shape, almost like a round door. And I'll just put it trial and error for how big it needs to be. All right. And then once I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and get the glue. And you can use glue sticks, you can use regular glue, you can use a glue gun if you've got someone helping you. I know those can get pretty hot, but I'm just gonna put this on. That rubber band that I put on, I'm just gonna cut it so that's easier. You do want to keep some of the tightness on there as you're putting your face and body on. All right, so once we have this on here, what you want to do is take that rubber band and put it back on. And it doesn't have to be tight because we are going to be covering it with some some ribbon. All right, so next you're going to put the ribbon around, or the scarf, if you will. And this will also help differentiate the head from the body. You just want to make sure that ribbon's tied really tight so it can give it some oomph. There we go. All right. We're going to finish them off with a hat and some eyes and a nose. So I've taken another sock that doesn't have an owner, or a pair I should say, and we're just gonna cut it right here, kind of in half. And this is gonna be his hat. Take a marker. Make some eyes. And then you can use a marker to make a nose. I've got orange felt on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. Just a little nose for a little penguin. I don't like that shape. There we go. Give it a little bit of glue. And this dries clear, so you can slather it up if you want to. And then cut a scarf. And now he has a little friend.
Crafts, warm food, simple exercise are all great ways to stay active and engaged on a cold winter day. We encourage you to explore not only these projects, but other similar projects as well. Check out your local library to see what types of classes and resources they might have, or look online for ideas. Don't let the dropping temperatures keep you from staying active and engaged all season long. Staying healthy and safe during the winter is a goal for all of us. Here are a few safety things you should remember as the temperatures drop. Remember to wear layers of loose-fitting clothes indoors, and add layers if you plan on going outside. Remember to pay close attention to your face, neck, and hands, and have a plan to keep them covered if possible, because these are areas where we can lose heat quickly. Always be mindful of the temperature, and if it drops below 32, be on the lookout for slick, icy spots and try to avoid them. No one wants to slip and fall. During these winter months, there is an increase in runny noses, coughs, and other ailments. Staying healthy is crucial during the winter months, and there are important things we need to be reminded about each and every year around this time. Let's listen to some important winter health tips.
Hello, my name is Dr. Shawn Caudill, and I'm a general internist at UK Healthcare, teaching medical students and medicine residents for over 30 years. I also take care of aging patients in my primary care practice. I've been working at the Sanders Brown Center on Aging for the last few years, helping with research in Alzheimer's and other dementias. Fall vaccination recommendations continue to evolve post-pandemic. In addition to influenza and COVID-19 vaccines, respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, has been identified as a significant cause of illness in adults over the age of 60, as well as children. RSV infections result in over 6,000 deaths per year in people over the age of 60, and a new vaccine is now available to reduce that risk. All 3 vaccines are available in most physician offices and pharmacies, but the COVID vaccine is only available in pharmacies. They can be administered one at a time, all 3 at the same time, or in any combination. They are protective throughout the peak viral infection season, so it's recommended to get them in the fall to cover through late fall, winter, and early spring. Insurance should cover the cost of all 3, but you should check with your insurer's summary of benefits or pharmacist to see if there's a copay requirement. As always, infection preventive measures are recommended in addition to vaccinations. Good hand washing and avoiding people who are sick, who have symptoms of viral illness, will help reduce your risk of getting infected.
Whether you stay inside close by the fire or you venture out into the cold, we hope that you will find ways to be creative, stay active, and try new things, as these are all great ways to boost your brain.